We're Robin and Steve. In the last episode, we sailed away from Scarborough Marina with a load of mandarins and cookies from Steve's parents. We were heading towards Fraser Island, Kagari. Again, we faced a bar crossing into Malula Bar and left very early to arrive at slack high tide. I knew nothing about Malula Bar's Minyama Island before we anchored. It was not what we expected. Cram-packed with decadent mansions, there was just nowhere for a nice beach walk. We motored back across the bar at first light to sail to Double Island Point. Annoyingly, there was a twist in our spinnaker. Fixed it. It was an exciting morning. Our odometer clicked over 2,000 nautical miles. We ate an orange to celebrate. Double Island Point is where boats anchor to wait for the right conditions to cross the famously nerve-wracking Wide Bay Bar into Fraser Island, Kagari. We'd thought of this anchorage as just a rest spot, but could have stayed longer. It's really beautiful. Again, we woke early so that we'd reach the bar on a rising tide, between half full and full. We'd emailed the Coast Guard to get the latest waypoints to safely enter this ever-shifting sandbar. To get around this bar safely, we've got to do a massive zigzag. It was strange seeing waves breaking either side of us nearby. We count on those waypoints being right. At least we weren't alone. In the last zag, there was a long slog where the waves came from side on. Apart from one nasty wave breaking on the stern and swerving us, it was a smooth entry. In fact, the Coast Guards told another boat to follow us as, quote, we clearly knew the waypoints. We made it. Pelican Bay. Pancake time. Fraser Island, Kagari. So peaceful. Sometimes. At dusk, the fish were going nuts all around us. And at night, they continued to go nuts. Fraser Island, Kagari, is huge. 123 kilometres long and 22 kilometres wide, this World Heritage Area is the largest sand island in the world and the traditional land of the Butchulla people. We anchored at Gary's Anchorage, named after the famous Butchulla tracker, Gary Owens.
Genius. It's art.
At the lower tides, crabs seemed to dance, and sandbars would appear, and we saw boats get stuck. We'd move on a rising tide, and we were fine. Next, we anchored at South White Cliffs, which weren't cliffs, but were a decent set of sand dunes. It was a lovely calm anchorage for us. It was so calm that I could practice headstands in the kayak. Steve was shaving on deck and could have used the water as his own mirror. We loved hearing and sometimes seeing turtles come up to breathe. the next part of our tale is bittersweet. I'd been practicing dancing on sandbars in various places. The good news is I came up with this fish-inspired dance. The sad news is that despite being fine in other places, on this particular sandbar I got completely smashed by sandflies, or midges, not sure, but I couldn't feel them biting. Here's the postcard shot to go with that little dance scene. I don't remember ever being so itchy. In more bittersweet news,
Works.
tell them why it may not have.
Well, that's reasonably successful. This morning I put this in the river and Robin dived down and found it on the bottom of the seabed.
Please check it on the map.
So it's got a gimbal stuck.
It didn't work perfectly, but we could still get a pretty shot of one of the many shipwrecks in the area. This had once been a busy port for the local sand mining industry and the logging industry. We kayaked up a little creek to see another grounded ship that was rotting quite beautifully. Next we anchored at the optimistically named North White Cliffs. They were neither white nor cliffs, but again were very nice sand dunes. Remnants from the timber industry are still rotting on the beach, like this tractor, and this boiler. Even an old jetty that's seen better days. After a tiny rain shower, we stopped to watch this white egret. This is an osprey. The dingoes here are protected because they haven't crossbred with domestic dogs to the same extent that mainland dingoes have. It's good to at least see pictures of trees that used to grow here. Imagine these growing on a sand island. We continued on toward Hervey Bay, famous whale breeding area. We were intrigued to explore this beautiful creek. We could see that a catamaran had sailed here and would be stuck here until the next spring's high tide. Arched cliff, still not a cliff, still gorgeous. This part of the island is scarred by fire damage. Sadly, it's not safe here for beach lounging. could enjoy the scenery if we looked out one way. I'm not sure if this is just weekend traffic, but it really is a bit out of control. If we looked both ways before crossing the beach, we could see beautiful sand formations and this strange coffee rock, or mud. While Steve rested in the kayak, I practiced some handstands. The aim is to go up with control, hold the balance for a long time, and then go down with control. Would you believe I did do my best ones before we started filming? Truly, I held some for ages before this, but now it wasn't happening, so I just went for a walk. We didn't sleep well. A southerly came with a side dish of rough seas. The weather wasn't so good. We couldn't get ashore at the next anchorage, so it was a good chance to plan our next passages. We'd hoped to jump off from the top of Fraser Island to the outer reefs, but a huge low off New Zealand meant that the swells would be at least 3 metres on a spring tide. It just wouldn't be safe, so we changed our plans. Join us next time as we sit out a big wind, see the first coral of our trip, see an eclipse, and reach the tropics.